Greetings in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. I'm Andre, and here with Fred, and Ed will probably join us soon. And we are um, doing, going to be reading March 23rd, 2024, about awakening the wanderer within. Okay, so I'll do the screen share here. There we go. And so, Fred, did you want to help with the reading as well? Or
Are you able to hear me?
yeah. Okay.
How do I make your screen bigger?
Here. Is that bigger now?
Oh, there we go.
Okay. So, here. Did you want to start reading it then?
Sure.
Mhm.
I am Quo, and am with this instrument at this time. We greet each here in the love and the light of the one infinite creator that is within the circle and within each being. For that is the nature of the creation in which we all live and move and have our being, the creation of the one who has its influence in each life, in one way or another, that each of us, those here concluded, will experience in their life journey. We thank you for inviting us to your circle today. We have enjoyed hearing your stories of inspiration, of difficulty, of resolution, of moving forward, of growing, of living and loving. This is part of each seeker in the journey that they are on. We will be very grateful to attempt to speak to those queries which each may have for us today. And in the speaking, we will be giving that information which we find might be helpful to the seekers gathered here. If there is any piece of information that does not ring of the truth in your heart at this time, we would ask that you set it aside and forget about it. For each has their own way of moving forward in the journey of seeking. This will allow us to speak more freely so that we do not present any problems or stumbling blocks in your spiritual path. At this time, we would ask if there is a query with which we may begin.
Cool. I was with a group of like minded people that were discussing some of the raw material. And in that material, in 17.33, it says that, of course, that 51% tipping point to be of service to others. And they were wondering if it was cumulative. Like the contention would appear to be impossible because we have to sleep 8 hours a day. The first 20 years of your life, you're not really serving others, so it would require 100% of the time providing service to others over a long period of time just to catch up to that percentage. But there's an implication that we can open our hearts and move into the fourth density experience and get that accomplished for graduation. Is this a fear based question, or can you elaborate on how? Do we have to adhere to that specifically or stay out of that fear?
I am Quo and am aware of your query, my sister. Your great journey of a spiritual seeker in your third density illusion is to begin to clear the energy centers of the red, a sexual survival and experience, the orange of the individual relationships with one to another, the yellow of group energies, and then to begin to open the green ray energy center, the heart. That is the place, the location of the realization of the Creator that exists within all beings. When this realization has been made, that one lives in the creation of the Creator in order to see it and serve it in all other entities. Then the ability to do this, the intention to do this, is that which makes the, as you have called it, 51% tipping point a possibility, and indeed a likelihood. For the heart energy center is that place where the love of the one creator flows through each spiritual seeker of truth out into the world about it. and whether there is any particular deed or offering of a material, mental, emotional, or spiritual nature is that which is the determining factor for the gaining of more service to others than service to self, or the lack of service. Then, when you are able to intend and seek to intend to serve others more than you do not intend, then you are placing yourself in a position of being of service to others in a manner which will allow you to be, as you have said, graduated into the fourth density of love and understanding.
Oh, okay.
It is the intention that this is most importance. For within your third density illusion, it is not possible to see exactly how one's intentions are manifested. What may be a service to one may not be a service to another. Thus, only what you hope for, what you intend, what you strive for, is that which determines your ability to make that graduation into the fourth density of love and understanding. Is there a follow up question, my sister?
All right. Thanks, Fred. So, yeah, I think that the lady has a basic misunderstanding in terms that it's not cumulative, but rather it's how much you've managed to spiritually develop throughout your lifetime. Um, and the most important point is the point just before your death. Um, and they detail the chakras, opening the chakras and things like this. Right? I don't know. What's your take on it?
Well, I think the person asking the question probably was raised up in a Baptist church like I was,
Okay,
because
fair enough.
there's in a lot every denomination kind of really focuses on usually a couple different aspects of the religious traditions or whatever. But in my remembering all of the times being in the Baptist church, the profession of once saved, always saved is very predominant, meaning you, oh, as long as I say, the blood of Jesus washed my sins, I can do anything I want
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, I'm
mentality,
familiar with that one.
because of that being said that way. What she was probably trying to do is clarify that that's not the case.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Trying to make sure that it's, when somebody reads that material and they say, oh, well, then, long as I know I'm part of the one infinite creator, I can do it. I can rob banks. It doesn't matter. That's not how it works, because it's your intention that makes the difference.
Hmm.
No, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Your intention makes the difference in achieving, graduation. It's not based on a ritual that you've performed, like saying the confession. Um, and yeah, so why do you think she's so confused? Uh,
Um, I don't
because you
really
were
think.
saying that was a Baptist thing. I was just a
Yeah,
little
I
distracted
don't
by
think she was confused. I
uh,
think she was just asking the question for more clarification.
mhm.
Maybe reread the question again, because I didn't get that she was confused.
Oh well, it just seemed that she thinks that it's 51% of your life that you have to
Oh
be of service
yeah,
to others.
right.
It,
Well, that would completely exclude the once saved, always saved.
yeah,
That
yeah,
means, yeah, you're screwed if you're 40 years old and you don't live past 80, you're screwed.
yeah. In her, but yeah, that's just not how it is. It's kind of like at the last
Well,
moment.
so
That's what
different
matters.
people interpret things differently, and
Hmm.
you know, I, I've I've run into that before, where I'll tell somebody something, and
Hmm.
then I'll hear them repeat it to someone else, and that's not what I said. I said this extra, and repeat exactly, and then understand why it was misinterpreted. Because sometimes you word things weirdly, or somebody just didn't get your emphasis. Texting is a good example of that. You can't emphasize, I was being sarcastic, in text, unless you send an emoji with it, you know. So there's a million different ways things can be misinterpreted or misunderstood. Ed,
Yeah, Ed made it.
I'm back.
Yeah, that's great, Ed. Yeah.
So what I miss?
So, well, here's the summary. I might as well go through it. So, cool. Some lady was confused and thought that you need to dedicate 51% of your whole life, including when you were a baby, to service to others. Uh, and so, cool was trying to fix that up. It says points for seekers. You got to clear the energy centers, open the green ray energy, realize the creator in all beings, and reach the 51% tipping point. The goal is to reach the state where your intentions and actions are predominantly aimed at serving others. And then the intention matters, just like Fred was saying. Sincerity and consistency of your intention to serve are more important than tangible outcomes of your actions. Graduation to fourth density, intention over results. In third density illusion, you can't always see how your intentions manifest. Focus on maintaining positive service-oriented intention toward fourth density love and understanding.
So basically, yeah, it doesn't matter if
Yeah.
you're a really rubbish magician that never actually does anything. If you spend your whole life trying to do like proper like magic, then like you've done the job anyway.
Well, yeah, well, yeah, that would be a very generic way of saying it, but in terms of, oh boy, service to others, yes. So as long as you have the intention of doing service to others, that's what matters more than anything else. Yes. Okay. So here, I guess we can read the next bit. Is there a follow-up question? So my understanding is it's not a linear process. It's the majority of the time that we provide that service to others that's important. Is that correct, Fred?
I don't have your screen up.
Oh, okay. Hold on. There. How about now?
There we go.
Okay.
I'm Quo, and you are correct, my sister. It is that you have said not the linear type of service, but the intention. The making of the promise to the self, to the creator, into all types of the infinite creator's existence around you, your friends, your neighbors, the environment, the creatures that you call the animals. These are all a portion of the creator and are that which you may serve by your intention. Is there a further query, my sister?
Great. I'm glad that cleared it up for her. That clarified it greatly. Thank you. Okay. So
Service to animals, that's the way to be. Service to plants. Woohoo.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's to all beings, right? All right. So I have a question. Mine is pertaining to social memory complexes. If a higher density being is already a part of a social memory complex and then came back here on Earth for third density, did they become a part of our social memory complex, or did they, after the veil is lifted, go back to whatever? Or are we all one anyway? That's my question. Okay.
I need your
right,
screen.
right. Yeah. I will do that. Hold on a second. Thank you for your reminder.
I am Quo, and I am aware of your query, my sister. Those entities of which you speak from the higher densities are called by those raw wanderers, for they take that knowledge that they have gained on their own spiritual path of seeking and becoming one with the infinite creator and move back through the forgetting process into the third density illusion. They join what you may call the group energies or the social complex, which has not yet been able to create the social memory complex. These wanderers are here to aid each entity on this planetary sphere in their own spiritual journey, so that they may eventually become part of a social memory complex that then can move into the fourth density of love and understanding. However, for the wanderers that are here now and have been for thousands of your years, this is a part of their own spiritual journey, which, if they are able to remember that they are wanderers, will enhance their journey in serving others here. For as they serve others, they serve the Creator, and they serve themselves, for all are one. When they are completed in their process of deincarnation and move back into the realms of the infinite creation from which they came, they will move in service to others once again upon this planetary sphere, if that is the, shall we say, contractual agreement made with the Council of Saturn. If the agreement is then for one incarnation only, then they shall move back to that level of experience, whether it be of the fourth density of love, the fifth density of wisdom, or the sixth density of the blending of love and wisdom. Is there a further query, my sister?
No, thank you. Great. Great. So I guess that's fairly self-explanatory. You guys want to comment
So
on it?
the
Go ahead.
point is, how do we really find out if we're wanderers, or should we even know that?
Um. Well, you don't have to know, and you may never be certain. Um. But as a general, I know in the Seattle group, they say if you're in this group, you're probably a wanderer. No, if
Because
Well,
you're
I
they
thought
interested
there
in
was
this
quite
stuff.
strict, because like restrictions on wanderers and what they're allowed to do in this life. Like
I don't
I
know.
thought that if you're a wanderer, you had to avoid making karmic connections here.
Yeah,
Because if you only come back for like one incarnation, like it said, like if you just signed up to do one, if you make too many karmic connections here, then you get stuck here and you end up being here. You're not being able to get back out to your own density.
That's why some people refer to it as a quote unquote trap, because the idea is to be tricked into taking an incarnation here with the intention of not incurring any karmic resolve needed, getting it, and then having to repeat the cycle over and over again until it's balanced, so that the negative can get the energy that it's on. That's kind of the theory behind it. I don't really view it that way. It's not
But
a trap.
that means that like most wanderers would have to get trapped here.
Right. Right. And
well,
I don't think that's the case. But I do find it interesting that Ra, or was it Quo, only answered half of what the okay, when they said, if you go back and reread what they said if um the entity is supposed to only come for that incarnation, then they go back to the realm that they were coming from.
yeah.
They didn't answer the rest of it. If they're not supposed to only be here for one incarnation, if they're supposed to be here for a life cycle or whatever,
Oh,
there could be
yeah.
a million different things.
Here. They will move in service to others upon the planetary sphere if that is the contractual agreement with the Council of Saturn.
Yeah. So what was the contractual agreement? That's what it depends on. That could be
Yeah.
damn near anything.
Yeah, that could be like, okay, if you get into karmically involved, you're staying.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, like that doesn't Quo say that like that's why wanderers shouldn't have kids?
Well, that's the
Because that's
fifth
straight up
density
too much
wanderers
karmic. There's
that
too
don't
much
have
karmic
kids.
connection already.
Well, fifth density wanderers don't want to have kids because they don't see the point. Sixth density wanderers may have kids.
I
Because
thought the point is that if you do in this physical incarnation, then you're going to want to come back. It doesn't matter. You're going to want to be connected to the offspring you create.
right, yeah, it's just I think that maybe fifth density wanderers still have oh, I need to accomplish something in a certain period of time. Whereas sixth density wanderers, they're about balancing love and wisdom. And so the time scale is so much greater, right? Fifth density is what, 50 million years, and sixth density is billions of years. So
Yeah, but surely you haven't got too many sixth density wanderers
or hundreds.
coming back.
Almost all the wanderers are sixth density. Most of them are sixth density.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well,
So when they do one of these lives, even if they ride out an entire 75,000 year third density cycle from beginning to end, it's like a blip on the map of their
Yeah.
life cycle.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, it's no biggie. Having some kids and sticking around for a few thousand years, that's like part of a life. Part of a life for because a fourth density life is 90,000 years. Right? That's
I mean,
one
how does that
incarnation
pan
in
out the
fourth density.
harvest though?
So if you make the harvest, then you get to go wherever you want. Right?
Okay. Good.
Yeah. All right.
How many of us do you think would choose to come back to 3D?
I mean, you mean if you graduate on Earth
Yeah,
and then
right
decide to
now.
go to another planet to be
Well,
in 3D?
if you say you died tomorrow and you were presented with you said Andre, Ed, you guys, you're whatever, you had way more than 51%. You graduated. You were a wanderer. You can go any dimension you want. Where would you go?
Well, Earth is going to be fourth density, or it is
Right.
like already. So I just come back here. Like
You would come
I'm
back
already
to 4D.
I'm so heavily invested on Earth. That I if things go reasonably well, I will continue being here. Obviously, if the humans make it a desolate desert, completely destroy the biosphere, then I won't be able to. But otherwise, I think the
You can
chances
hitch
are
a
good.
ride on Elon Musk's one of his ships.
That's baby games. It's not going to amount to anything, not long term, anyways.
I'd probably jump into like time space.
Yeah.
Go to the bit further down X amount of life that it's got to be to find out what I'm here to find out in this life. Yeah, then I'd come back in the perfect situation to discover that 10 lifetimes earlier.
Well, I know, like Elon Musk, my personal hypothesis is that he's from Mars and he feels some kind of karmic responsibility for the destruction of Mars. And he is kind of trying to make amends now by repopulating.
Oh, he's just trying to get home.
Yeah, basically. Marsh
Well,
just wants to go home.
they
But
start
he doesn't
landing.
have red hair, so I don't know.
They start landing ships on Mars and start setting up home bases there. It ain't gonna be too long before they're gonna start finding artifacts.
Yeah, but whether or not they will allow any of that. I mean, there's already slave colonies on Mars, right? We know that from the disclosure people. And like they had these problems. They even have conferences on like how do we manage these despots on Mars and things like that. They were looking for ideas on Earth on how to deal with their extraterrestrial problems.
I don't know anything about that stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I saw some videos about it. They had like it was anyways, it's kind of off topic. Um,
It's okay.
but
How much more reading do we have?
Just a bunch. But yeah, I guess I could summarize. There was a guy. Unfortunately, I'm not very good with names. Do you guys know? Famous
The Greer guy, Dr. Greer.
Not Dr. Greer. Here. What are famous? Here, hold on. What are some famous ufologists, dudes? Uh, there was some conference about dealing with Martians, uh, d- despotic Martian colony. Okay. Maybe ChatGPT will know what I'm talking about. Oh boy. Um, no, not that guy. Nope, not that guy. Not that guy. Uh, no, not those guys. He wrote several books on the Space Force or something like that. Secret Space Program. Michael Sala. Michael Sala, that's the guy. Okay, so Michael Sala, they were doing some kind of conference, and then the people next to them were doing this extraterrestrial Mars conference, where they were having problems with dealing with someone, uh, one of their colonies. It was a breakaway colony on Mars, um, and because basically the secret space program, what they do is they like hire people, and the best of the best from all around the world, and then they put them to work in space or in a colony. But once you're in space or a colony, you can't leave without their permission. And you can't go outside because you're going to die of asphyxiation. And so you're
Yeah.
basically a slave for the rest of your life if you agree to any of those secret space programs. And so they have.
Dude, I would be blowing the fuck up out of everything. Everything would be sabotaged as fuck every single place I went. There's no way they could hold me like that.
They have a surveillance state there. If they even see you thinking, like writing down anything or behaving in any unusual ways, they will execute you. You know, and they have millions of people, and they know how to, like, they breed them, with the incubation chambers they got from the Greys. So they already have population of millions of people, and they are actually the face of Earth to the extraterrestrial community. And so there's kind of a big divide between the majority Earth population and the subsection, the small subsection of Earth that has all of the space technology and is interacting with extraterrestrials. Um, so yeah, and then the service to others aliens, well, they're trying their best to help us along with telepathic channeling like this.
So, what's the point of having all of the? What do those workers do?
Different things that the military needs them to do, or the secret space program needs to do, like engineering and like building
Hybrid
things and
babies.
yeah, occasionally working in the nursery, like there's all sorts of jobs, uh you know what I mean.
But I mean, what's their goal?
Their goal.
It just doesn't make sense. What would to have a secret colony that? I mean, there would have to be an ultimate goal. Like, are they giving the aliens something? I mean, they gave us this technology. What are the aliens getting out of it?
Well, there's multiple secret space program groups, right? So there are some that work for um like the reptilians. They're called the Dark Fleet. They're what the Star Wars is based on, with those whole, like, the destroyer, which is like a triangular ship, and all those things. So that was the Star Destroyer, whatever. That was kind of a disinfo. I don't know what they call it, but
Dystopia.
well, yeah, it was a dystopia, but basically they work for the reptilians in taking over other planets. So there was this guy, Rice, Jason Rice or something. I don't remember his name, but he had, like, probably one of the best things on Gaia. Even though the Gaia people were very skeptical of him, but I think he was legit, and he was explaining. that he was part of the Dark Fleet, and they were hired to go in, and so it was a planet. It wasn't like Earth, like it wasn't heavily invested in like Earth is, with lots of different people. It was kind of like more of a rural backwater. They only had like 15, different plant species, or a few hundred, like not like tens of thousands of plant species like we have here. um but and so they were kind of in third density, and then some of the reptilian dudes showed up with their human emissaries. So basically, the reptilians didn't show up on the planet. They made the Earth humans do the dirty work for them, to go over there and tell them, okay, there is some aliens that are coming here, and you need some of our guys to protect your planet from this invasion. And they were just like, sure, whatever, give us your guys, it's fine. And apparently, they signed the contract by accepting these guys. They were the infiltrators. They accepted the infiltrators, and that is what allowed them to start the invasion, because they wouldn't invade the planet until they had the infiltrators in place. And so what this guy's job, so the reptilians made their own robot, uh what do you call it, animal hybrids or cyborgs. I think it was like, on one planet it was cybers, what do you call it, spiders. On another one it was like wolves. um but like these weird creatures, they were completely impossible to negotiate with, because they were part machine and part animal, and so they just had like this kill reflex, and so they just had to like destroy them. And so what would happen is that they just managed to corral everyone, so that, and then they would supply their infiltrators with all of the weapons that are needed to neutralize the enemy, or neutralize the enemy that they created and they put there. And so anyone who was not subservient to the infiltrators was killed. And they created an absolute hierarchy for the whole planet, where absolutely everyone was subordinate to the infiltrators. And the infiltrators are subordinate to the reptilian hierarchy. And so so that whole planet now becomes subordinate to the reptilian hierarchy. So that's one example of what they do. Well, that's what the Dark Fleet does, anyways.
It
And
sounds like a Project Bluebeam attempt.
yeah, it's sort of like Project Bluebeam, except they have real, uh, real robots. I mean, real invasion.
Well,
And
yeah, but I mean, and they're going on a planetary scale, not.
yeah, not for a localized population. Yeah, exactly.
They're like the reptilian, like CIA, going and toppling countries from the inside.
Yeah, yeah. Like that. And so, but yeah, the Earth ones, I don't know. Oftentimes, like those slave colonies, they're what happens is that you just get a service to self person at the top, because the scum always rises to the top, and then well, you get the inevitable consequences. They try to take control of everything, because the service to self person wants to suck everything into their own orbit, and that's just how it is. And yep, and that's enough motivation for them. All right, do you guys want to move on to the next one? Or hmm? My query is in that human experience for those that are from a different place than Earth. How can we discern that and serve as best as possible?
I am Quo, and we believe that we are aware of the query, my sister. We would ask for a clarification if you're asking from the perspective of a being who believes they come from elsewhere and incarnated here in order to serve on Earth.
I speak for my husband, who believes he comes from somewhere else but does not understand.
I am Quo, and I believe we are aware of the query. We can speak more generally for any being who may come from elsewhere and has not yet awakened to this self-understanding and self-reality, and how you, as an entity in relationship with this being, may help to serve them. We begin with the most basic tenet of service to others, and that is the one of acceptance. An acceptance for the journey of each being, whether they are native to your third density or whether they come from elsewhere, and that they are experiencing a unique and individual journey that gives value and purpose to the one infinite creator through this experience, whether or not there are aspects of the being that are forgotten or not yet realized. These forgotten aspects help to inform the journey of the moment and how one relates to each moment, and this generates what we have called catalyst. That aspect of the self in relation with the creation that helps to generate experience for the creator and allow the self to become more and more aware of the self through these disharmonies, this misunderstanding, and this difficulty of not knowing who you are or your place in your journey. But with each step that one takes and each new catalyst one experiences, the opportunity to become more and more aware of the self through this reflection of catalyst is indeed a gift on that journey. And so, even for a wanderer who is incarnated upon your planet or any third density and has forgotten their nature and has not yet awakened to this nature, this seeming disharmony with their experience that they might have and not understanding where they have come from or what their purpose is itself a gift to them on their spiritual journey that can serve a purpose. This purpose may not reveal itself immediately or even soon, as such catalysts can tend to be ignored, and thus more catalyst is presented, perhaps stronger, in an attempt to gain the attention of this being. As somebody in relationship to an individual, we offer the suggestion that in this baseline of acceptance, any suggestion of an attempt to recognize this catalyst and accept it for what it is as a gift on the path. And helping this individual to process this catalyst without offering them more direct answers, but rather simply suggestions, and accepting that this individual must come to a realization on their own. And while you may aid them by presenting the information, beyond all things, it is the love and the acceptance and the holding of an atmosphere of the love and the light of the one infinite creator that can allow this individual to witness and experience and love their catalyst and love their journey for what it is that will ultimately lead to this realization. You, as a person in relationship with this individual, may not be able to witness this realization in a way that one might hope. But if this journey, together with this other individual, is taken in faith, then both of you together will ultimately together realize your true natures, whether as native third density beings, as wanderers, or ultimately both as the one infinite creator. Is there a follow-up query, my sister?
No, thank you so much. All right, great. And hi, Ashley. Thanks for joining.
Hi, Ashley.
Mhm.
So,
you have?
basically,
Mhm.
the surmise is no. The answer to her question is no.
Wait, well, what was the question? We believe.
So,
Hold on.
Fred,
They
earlier on
wanted
you
to
asked.
elaborate on where her husband was from, what his incarnation here was about.
My query is that in the human experience, for those that are from a different place on Earth, how can we discern that and serve as best as possible?
Okay, Fred.
Mhm.
earlier on, dude, you said about like, should I do meditation to learn about my past life and blah 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 blah. Quite just answered it. Don't do it, dude.
So Ashley, yeah, you were here for most of the reading. Did you want to comment on it too?
Um, I mean, it definitely resonates. I feel like when we are so committed to polarizing positively, we want to help everyone, and sometimes we can forget that what other selves are going through, even if it's intense catalyst, that's for a reason. And we don't know what they planned for the incarnation, what themes they plan to express. And even if we know, like the querent was asking, even if we know what place they came from, like what maybe planetary body they were on prior, or what density they hail from, or what, their purpose here is, that won't necessarily change how best we can serve them, because that person still has their own journey and their own lessons. We can only, as Quo is saying, be of service by providing that field of love, acceptance, and compassion as emissaries of the one infinite creator, holding space for them, acceptance and compassion for whatever they present to us, however they present to us. That is the best way to be of service, because they will feel that love subconsciously, unconsciously, and it'll rise up through the ranks of manifestation. So I resonate with that.
That was excellent, Ashley. Thank you. Yeah. Um, yeah, and so that's most of these in here. The only faith in the journey, understand that you may not witness their realization as you hope, but have faith that both of you will ultimately realize your true natures, whether as native or otherwise. That's great. Yeah, like I know my wife, she is definitely a native. She's like, she doesn't even believe in aliens. she, she's like, she doesn't think it's possible, or something like that. And
My partner's like that too. Though he's not resistant to it, he's just like, well, I know that you wouldn't make up anything like that, but I personally have never seen or had any extraordinary experiences. So he's I'll believe it when I see it or it happens to me kind of person. So it's a nice balance, to have one side that's very deep into the experiences and another that's more detached. It's like the proton and the electron, it
yeah,
works.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, I know. Yeah, like we've done like past life regressions with her and stuff, and all of her past
Okay,
lives are on Earth.
cool. I love that. I'm all about Earth. Earth is
Yeah.
the best planet in the universe. That's why all of the stellar beings are here. I'm
Yeah,
so serious. I'm so
yeah, yeah.
serious.
Okay, okay, all right.
There's no planet better than Earth. Like, I'm not talking about human society shenanigans
Yeah, that
that
because
make
there's a lot
that
of
make that make
questionable behavior.
the
Yeah,
planet seems really sus because of the human shenanigans. But if you were just to take off all the humans and just look at the
yeah,
planet,
it's
it's
so
pretty
beautiful.
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
And a
there's
lot of
so
stellar
many.
beings have said this, like, we love your planet. It's so diverse, it's so beautiful, all these
Yeah,
different organisms and energies. Even
yeah,
our inner planes are so exotic. It's like
uh-huh.
it's the best place ever, but we just have to get our human stuff together.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I just asked earlier, everybody, if when our incarnation's done here, like poof, when you're dead and you go and say, okay, you're able to go anywhere you want, any dimension you wanted to go, where would you go? Where would you go?
I'm staying right here on Earth. That is
And
my
that's
path
what
to
same.
everybody is saying. Yeah.
yeah. I want to be with Earth in fourth density, fifth density, sixth density. I don't know, maybe Earth will decide to do something different at seventh, but I'll be there with the planet through that all.
But
That's
there's also parallels.
Well, the parallel timelines, that's you explore that in the seventh density. But actually, I had a vision, a trillion years of Earth, trillion
I love
years,
that.
where, so like, because so what I saw in my vision, like, well, that there will be the fourth density great revival of love and kindness and all the animals and all the people living in harmony together, and then so that'll be for a while, but the sun is also growing hotter all the time, so eventually it becomes kind of like too hot for most human and animals. They have to live in like the high mountains and stuff, and they have like reserves. And most of the people are robots, because they can survive in the hotter temperatures. And then eventually it's just robots, and the oceans start to like boil away, and they're like, you know what, we want to preserve this planet, and they move the planet farther away from the sun so it doesn't disintegrate or something. Um, oh, and then they move it to a different star system. Um, like the red dwarves, they last for um, trillion years, and so so they put it around that star, and then what I saw was there was kind of a, I call it the archaeological phase. So, where basically all of these people, which were robots, were studying Earth and its history, and like taking it apart to like try to see like what happened, where and when and who, and because it's kind of like it's already moved out of like the biological phase, and then after they've kind of done all the archaeological exploration, what they do is they start to hollow it out, because the core, after a few billion years, the core becomes solid, because it's no longer hot enough to sustain it, and so they make a shell out of iron all around the planet, and it's like several kilometers thick, because like I'm seeing this all from the perspective of me on like one of those Haida Gwaii islands sitting in a temple, because apparently, like, again, some of my ashes were put into uh, like a Buddha statue that's in a pyramid over there in the future, in this particular timeline. And then so I see it, and then it rises like kilometers above me, and so I'm actually at the basement level, even though I was on like in the middle of a mountain like before, on top of a mountain. And then what they do is they hollow out the all of the minerals inside, and so you just have like a crust on the outside, and it's like and then there's like no center. And then I saw when they took the core out too. um and then at some point they actually had a revival. They had a revival at this point, and they had another third, fourth density in robots, where they it was like about music and song and things like that. And then they were thinking about throwing it into a it was getting close to where the stars were all going out. This was already like almost a trillion years ahead, and most of the stars in the galaxy had burned out already. And they actually needed to make a new star. They needed to make a new star in order to have keep the life going. And then and so they wanted to they wanted to collide three brown dwarfs, and they put them all on a like collision course. Um, and in order to do that, and one of the things is they eventually tossed the Earth into one of these brown dwarfs, to get the momentum properly, or to have enough mass or whatever. And then they created, but they kept some stuff um, from Earth, And then they had their dwarf star, and so that kept them going. And then eventually, like, they saw the sky going dark for a long time, and um, they they still like had my statue or whatever, and then they created a they saw new galaxies forming. They saw new pinpricks of light coming up, and so they created portals to go to those new galaxies. And then, like, they took part of my statue with them or something, and then they started, expanding through this new galaxy, and that's kind of where my vision leaves off.
That's very interesting.
Mhm. So yeah, it's a very long time horizon. But anyhow, so yes, cool. I have a question. You graciously channel through this group. I'm wondering if you know or can estimate how many different groups you channel through, if any other than this group, and what would be the smallest number or the smallest size group that could receive your message.
Um,
Fred is reading to
I
me. Oh,
can't.
here, I'll open it for you. There you go.
There you go.
Can
I
read
am
it.
Quo, and I'm aware of the query, my brother. We can first address the more general aspect of this query, and that our service to your planet is not done simply through channeling such as this. We are aware of many who call, whether generally or specifically, for our service. We make ourselves available in other ways, such as an aid in the meditation and offering inspiration and guidance through the dreaming, or in simply sharing as best we can the love and the light of the one infinite creator in a concentrated fashion so that it becomes more available to those who seek and call for our aid. In terms of our identity as Quo and those of Quo being channeled through other groups upon your planet, we can affirm that this configuration has and is being channeled by other groups. We cannot necessarily speak to the specifics of how many groups have connected with our energies, for our identity is not always expressed or recognized so directly as we identify ourselves with this group, those of Quo. For this specific configuration that we utilize in channeling through this group is itself a collection of other social memory complexes, those of Hatan, those of Latui, and those of Ra. And these individual social memory complexes serve in many other ways and many other configurations. And so the answer to your question can become quite complicated. However, we can affirm or respond to the aspect of your query of the number of individuals that are able to channel our identity. And we have found with much efficacy that a number that we hope for in connecting with any group who wishes to channel our energy, that a minimum of 3 helps to stabilize the contact and the connection in a way that provides safety. As we offer our vibration and energy in many general ways, it is possible for one to somewhat naively attempt to contact and channel our energies and make a form of connection with fewer individuals. However, it is our much greater preference to solidify a contact with direct vocal channeling, such as this one, with a minimum of 3 individuals. Is there a follow-up to this query, my brother?
No, thank you. All right, great. Would you guys like to comment on that?
I think it's a wonderful thing that the Confederation is planetary in their workings, in their support, They're not just isolated to a specific set of individuals. They're all over the world in different forms and different fashions. And it opens up and creates a permission slip for anyone who is feeling the call of the Confederation to reach out in meditation. They say it so many times over the years. Even Ra says it, welcome us in your meditation. And I challenge anyone to do that. And that's how you get to know their presence and their energy in your life. There are parts where Quo has said, and even Latui over the years, they wish to be with us in our daily goings. They wish to be with us as we are at work and doing errands. And what I've noticed is that when you invite higher density consciousnesses into your life, they begin to, their vibration rubs off on you, and you start thinking differently in your everyday situations. You start feeling differently in your everyday situations because you're exposed to that higher light and love frequency. So I just think it's a beautiful and empowering reveal here that everyone can have their own personal relationship with the Confederation. It's not so it's not so higher than high that you can't connect to them through the open heart. That's what they want.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point. And point that I had to share on this was the why it's three is because you need one person doing the channeling, you need one person doing the questions, and you need the third person to act as a battery. They mentioned this during the raw contact, basically. So in the raw contact, that the battery was the scribe, Jim. But basically, the battery is they're helping to maintain the energies because the questioner and the person doing the channeling is actively doing the channeling, and the person doing the question is actively understanding what is being heard and also thinking of what to ask next. And so the battery is responsible for maintaining the energetic state of the room while doing the vocal channeling. But I do agree with you, Ashley, that you can certainly also connect with them in meditation, and I invite them on a daily basis. And they remind me that you never asked us to leave, so we're always with you, you know. So uh, fair enough, fair enough. But I re-invite them every day.
In my experience with a channeling circle, um, where there's even up to 5 of us, there is a certain energetic harmony. um, I have perceived that there is a unified field of light that is generated that powers the contact. It's not just on one person. Actually, there may be specializations, but it is a unified effort, because if it was just one person sustaining the contact energetically, then that's like a weakness. That's like trying to pick up something with just your thumb and ignoring the other 4 fingers.
Yeah,
So in a channeling circle, although there are distinctions in the roles, the energies powering it are everybody's powering the transmission.
yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. That's that's also true. Hmm. But yeah, it's just I know that for me, from my own like kind of life experience, is that when I'm a participant, an active participant, it's very different from being the listener, and that it's much easier for me to like do a meditation and maintain energies as kind of like a battery, if you will,
Hmm.
when I'm not actively participating.
I got you.
Hmm.
So yeah, one thing I was going to say on this subject, like, not that I've really done much channeling, although I have been kind of like toying with it a little bit recently. One of the things that really like struck me the most on this whole subject that Ra spoke about is the idea of kind of like how if you were to do a ritual, if you were to do any kind of magical work, the law of squares and the kind of amount of people is one thing, but actually having the right people doing the right things and resonating in the right way is the key. So instead of, I always think of it as kind of a magical structure, a pentagram, hexagram, some kind of sacred geometric pattern that, allows the flow of energy between the people entering. But I see the same thing as atoms inside a molecule and the resonance energy that's produced inside each one of those specific atoms. It needs to be that atom in that specific bonding pattern to make this molecule what it is. So, like when we come together to form some kind of ritual or channel or whatever it is that we're trying to focus our energy to do, we need to have the right atoms, right? So the people need to have the right resonance and the right, skills and things to bring to the crystal that you're trying to create with those energies to then be able to perform whatever outcome, whether it's channeling or ritualistically, whatever it is.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
I'm gonna have to duck out for a minute. I'll be back in a sec.
Okay. All right. Any concluding remarks before we go to the next question? Okay. Cool. I have 3 related questions. In A Course in Miracles, we talk about what is real and what is not real. So Jesus says through the Course that fear is not real and only love is real. So we're living in an illusion. How, in this 3D reality, do we use the darkness to our advantage? Is there a practical way, to look at the fear and the dark and fear of the darkness within us and within the collective? Oh, here, I'll magnify.
I can
Oh,
read.
do you want to read it? Okay, go ahead, Ashley.
Okay. I am Quo, and I am aware of your query, my sister. Within the one infinite creation, there is only the power of love that manifests as light. And in the universe, galaxies, stars, planets, and entities, this is the overriding and undergirding quality that is true, whole, and perfect. In your third density illusion, you live with other qualities that are aspects that have been, shall we say, worked with in a fashion that may be conscious or unconscious by individuals in groups to create what you have called fear. The fear of not being love, the fear that there is a place where love is not, the fear that this may infect you, the fear that is so prevalent within your third density illusion at this time can be dealt with by those who are aware of the nature of reality being love, and within the meditative state may see any person, thing, quality, or place where fear resides, and send it the love of the Creator through your hearts, that you may surround and engulf that quality of fear wherever it exists with the love that will call to the heart of fear, which is love that has been distorted. In your sending of love to fear, you help to undistort the quality of fear, so that there might be a more clear feeling and perception of love within the world about one. This is a means of planetary healing that many may use at this time, as there is so much fear that is holding sway within various entities, nations, and portions of your planet. The fear that exists in so many places, then, may be healed by many of those, such as yourself, who can use their meditative state to send the love and the light of the Creator to all places that have such fear, that the call to the heart of fear be made to love, and that love will respond and heal what once was fear into love. Is there another query, my sister?
Yeah. they go into another one, but I guess we should review this one so far. It was very pleasant to listen to. What are your commentary?
It's it's something we hear all the time. Uh, you know, to love, send love to the fear, that love squashes fear. Um, but it is hard. It's hard to do that. And for me, the way that it became easier was by experiencing what that love is. Like, I think there's a part of the journey where before you begin to send love to fear, send love to hate, send love out genuinely to others, you have to learn what that love is for you. What does unconditional love feel like from the one infinite creator? What does it feel like to experience that and be that? I feel like that's the first part, because when you can embody that love and feel that love within, then it's a lot easier to spread it to others and to see that the fear is also love.
Yeah,
So it's like
I.
love of self
Mhm.
is
That sounds like you're perfectly describing what they mean by detangling when they said that they were when you send love, you're detangling the fear, you're detangling any all that negative and attachment. It's like um it would be like unraveling a garden hose. It's all tangled and knotted up and everything. Just you're what when you're. I guess because love is a form of attention. Am I correct? When you pay like close attention to something, that's showing it love. So when you're paying attention to something, you're able to untangle it.
yeah,
Makes
that's
sense.
true. Yeah, where attention goes, energy follows. And Paul says, there is only, well, Ross said this, there is only one energy. And that energy, that one energy is intelligent infinity in motion. And that is the love and the light. And it's it's difficult, but when we can see that the fear is also love, the hate is also love, the darkness is also love, the enemy is also love, that's when we kind of have that breakthrough. That's when we're able to heal, because we're jumping beyond the illusion of duality. And it's kind of beyond the illusion of duality, beyond the separation. That is where the one is. And so that's kind of how, like you're saying, the untangling, there's just this natural transition into a healing state, because that which is not separated is one, and that which is one is healed, is perfect, is whole. So that's something that's very cool that I'm seeing now. Like, the healing is because you're not separate anymore. That's what it is.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
for
getting
sure.
that balance back.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that really resonated with me here is fear is created by the belief that there are places where love does not exist. And so that's only made possible by the veil, and the illusion and the ability to misunderstand. Because when we really understand things, then we realize that all is love. And like, if you really compassionate and empathize with another person, you realize they're doing everything out of love, maybe love for themselves, but love nonetheless. um and so I know I've seen this on Twitter a lot, where basically, in order to do their warmongering, they have to pretend. They have to pretend that the other side is doesn't have love, that they're orcs, or that they're somehow untrustworthy, or something like this. Um, and I always say, you know, they have the divine within them too. John 17:23. Let's follow Jesus, because that's kind of like that least
Mhm.
common denominator, or most common denominator, whichever. Yeah, great. All right. So this is very helpful. How does the function of forgiveness play into that with individuals and with the collective?
I am Quo, and I am aware of your query, my sister. The concept of forgiveness is that which is based in love, or forgiveness is the ability to give love and acceptance where there has been separation or injury, or the ignorance of the behavior that has been created that then needs to be forgiven. The forgiveness may be done whether or not it is asked for you are a powerful being, and the Creator has given you the power to stop the wheel of karma, which continues as long as forgiveness is not given or not granted. Thus, when you forgive, whether you are asked for it or not, you exercise this power to stop the wheel of karma for the one who has perhaps wronged you or created dissension or difficulty between you, or has been in your sights, shall we say, looking around the world and seeing places where there are difficulties and workings of one entity against another that have caused problems that would need forgiveness. If the entities were able to do so consciously by sending the love of forgiveness to them, you surround them with that quality which they may be able to perceive so that there is forgiveness and the stoppage of the wheel of karma which is being created by the disharmony between them. This is what any spiritual seeker of truth can do to provide the seeds of forgiveness to the world around you, so that they may grow by the love that is called forth by your meditative qualities of sending the seeds of love and forgiveness to all who may need such. Is there a follow up query, my sister?
Is there a practical way to forgive that darkness within each of our own lives and our own perceptions of ourselves?
I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. The inner quality of forgiveness and acceptance of those portions of one's being that have been a difficulty for one may be achieved again in the meditative state so that you see the quality of yourself that you feel needs forgiveness. You imagine it in its origins within your being, where it came from, how it developed, and how it has affected you in your own life path. Then you look at that picture that you have drawn within your mind in your meditative state, and you surround it with the forgiveness from your own heart to your own beingness, so that you see yourself as a part of the one infinite creator that has been able to know itself in some degree through that action which you feel needs forgiveness. For in whatever action you create, you are helping the creator to know itself, knowing that whatever you do cannot fail to serve the creator, can give you that far-seeing vision to look within the heart of your being and forgive that which you feel needs to be forgiven and healed. Thus the creator's love moves through you to help heal you in any situation which you feel needs assistance. At this time, we shall transfer this contact to the one known as Austin. We are those of Quo.
Great. All right. That was quite a bit on forgiveness there.
Yes, and
Hmm.
it's a good practice
Hmm.
to see what in yourself you need to or you feel you need to forgive And a lot of it comes from, at least for me, forgiving myself for not being all that I needed for myself in those moments, forgiving myself for not being kind to my physical body when I should have, not being kind to my mind, not being kind to my heart. Sometimes we're so hard on ourselves. Sometimes we push ourselves to the brink and we punish ourselves for things that rationally we didn't have control over, but because we are predisposed as beings to have a soft heart towards kindness, we tend to internalize and beat ourselves up about a lot of things in life that have happened to us that we didn't have enough information about to change. And those create all these little wounds in the heart and in the physical body. So many times we can enter this state and say, I'm sorry, body, that I did this and that I wasn't there for you, and you needed me in this manner and that manner. I'm sorry, but I will do better to take care of you, to look after you, to support you, and to create situations and environments where you thrive. And you can do that for the mental body as well. I'm sorry that I was, so negative to you, I'm sorry that I wasn't providing the hope and the optimism that we needed to move forward. And so, in this way, you can begin to have a better relationship with yourself by seeing where you let yourself down and apologizing to yourself. That practice for me is very powerful.
Yes, I agree. And I would just add one clarifying point, that it is not necessarily that we are as beings, but it is that the earth has this baggage of, I don't know if bad parenting is the word, but it's a kind of a culture of beating up on people for not doing well enough, um, even though it's counterproductive. And oftentimes we get this from either our peers or our family when we're growing up, and then we internalize it. And then we start beating ourselves up when we get older. And but by doing that process of learning to be gentle with ourselves, learning to be kind with ourselves, learning to forgive ourselves, then we are actually helping heal not just ourselves, but the whole planet and everyone we interact with. Because, like Jesus said, uh, love one another, uh, or love God and love your neighbor as yourself. And that means that you have to love yourself. You have to be kind and gentle with yourself so that you can then have that same love and kindness for your neighbor.
Mhm.
All right. Fred, did you want to chip in?
Well, I completely agree with you on the healing the earth with the forgiveness, because I think forgiving ourselves is probably infinitely harder than it is most of the time to forgive other people. Um, like what Ashley was saying, like we're so hard on ourselves, but you know, I think of the things that people have done that would be considered against me, and some of them pretty extreme, and I struggle with that. But at the same time, I figure in my own mind, I easier to forgive them for that, because I can actually look at that person and say, okay, they love themselves and their own whatever so much that they're willing to do this. So I can understand that and forgive that probably before I can forgive myself for some of the things I've done to my own self. That's so forgiving yourself is probably one of the most important. That's why I would imagine Rob, you know, harps on know yourself, as being the number one thing we need to do. We have to know who we are so we can start that process of forgiving.
Yeah,
Mhm.
great points. Okay, do we want to do the next one? Yes, cool. I have a
Yeah.
question. Is there anything we can do to build support with our guides or guardian angels in aspect of healing us keep ourselves in service to others?
I'm Flo, and I'm aware of the query, my sister. And we appreciate this opportunity to speak on this very useful practice for entities within the third density. For many within your density and upon the spiritual path that has taken the veil of forgetting are not aware of the resources available to each individual, particularly because these resources come from a place beyond the veil, where entities are witnessing the life of the individual and wanting to offer aid and assistance. But due to certain limitations that this dynamic presents, they must await for the asking before they can offer what they desire to share. And so we would say simply at first, the most practical and useful way to begin to develop a relationship with your guidance system, whether these be identified as guardian angels or your higher self, or simply friends and family on the other side of the veil, it is to make a regular practice of communing with these entities in the sense of requesting their assistance. If this is done in a ritual fashion, perhaps during a daily meditation practice or during prayer, then each iteration of this request reinforces itself, and the pathways that can be used by these entities wishing to offer their assistance become stronger and more available to these entities. And within your own mind, you become more and more open to their assistance in various ways. There are other methods and practices that can be utilized to help form a coherent relationship that can be understood and where communication can be shared more directly. These methods are very numerous, and so we suggest just a few examples as inspiration, with the understanding that each individual will have their own specific complex of distortions that make some methods more effective for them. And sometimes even pre-incarnative choices allow some methods to be more effective than others, for this was the design planned by the individual and the guidance system prior to the incarnation. A very powerful form of this guidance can be offered, as we spoke earlier, through the dreaming, for it is much easier and direct for these entities on the other side of the veil to interact in an unconscious or subconscious way with the entity that has the veil of forgetting upon it. The dreaming offers a direct link or insight into the subconscious mind where such communication can be received. And so we suggest that if you begin to pay close attention to your dreams and record your dreams soon upon the waking, and begin to draw correlations and discover a language with which your unconscious mind communicates with you will find within this language and within this communication the quality of your guidance system and information from your guidance system that is relevant to you upon your path. And if this is developed further, you may discover great use in asking a particular question of your guidance system before going to sleep and discovering upon some investigation upon the waking answers contained within the dreaming. We can suggest another method of receiving communication in that of becoming very mindful of the events within your life that you have called synchronicity, those seeming coincidences that hold great meaning to you and that strike you as meaningful in a powerful way. If you begin to pay close attention to these synchronicities and allow them to draw your attention inward and to draw your attention to the circumstances surrounding those synchronicities in a thoughtful way, then your guidance system can use this moment of inspiration, the shock to the system that the synchronicity provides, in order to feed information through such events. Indeed, they may utilize such events to help you understand what these synchronicities are attempting to communicate and offer their guidance to you upon your path in a way that, similar to the dreaming, must be interpreted. But as you practice and continue to interpret these things, a language develops. And this communication becomes more regular and understandable to the seeker. There are many other methods that one can utilize, and we suggest, beyond our own examples, that each seeker who is interested in developing this relationship test out various practices and find one that speaks to the heart in a powerful way. For every individual has the capacity and would benefit from such a connection as you traverse the difficult but powerful and enriching experience of incarnation through the third density. Is there a follow-up query, my sister?
No, cool. Thank you so much. All right. That was great.
I had one question right before they started talking about the synchronicities. They mentioned that someone's pre-incarnative choice can affect the outcomes and the different variances. They worded it a specific way. I'm curious on some clarity there.
Here, I'll be right there. I don't know if Ashley remembers. I'm gonna try to find incarnate.
So I think it's rare, and sometimes even
pre-
choices allow some methods to be more effective. So my understanding of that is that if you have a pre-incarnative choice that makes you more predisposed to interacting with your higher guidance system through intuition or through divination or through channeling or just through recognizing numbers and patterns or certain signs from nature, there could be a situation where that method of interacting with your higher guidance system was planned in order to put you along a path of seeking that is in line with the blueprint you set for your incarnation. So if you are one whose pre-incarnative choice was set up to receive higher guidance through nature and through nature's various expressions, whether it's through birds and so on, this, if you follow that path and get information that way, might spur you to choose seeking in as a shaman. And so that's your path, and you are led to that because that's how you received information because of your pre-incarnative choice. That's just one example.
So you're basically because of probably what they continued saying about synchronicities and also seeking your highest passion, you are learning what your pre-incarnative choices were to get the information that you need and want and desire.
In that respect of how you receive from your higher guidance system, yes, it seems that way.
Yeah, like another example, I know I heard someone and their wife like remembers all their dreams. So if you have a pre-incarnative choice where it's easy for you to remember your dreams, then it's much easier for you to start interpreting your dreams and understanding your dreams and seeing the messages in your dreams. Whereas for people who, for many people that don't remember their dreams, doing the synchronicity thing might be easier. Like I do the synchronicity thing, like I have like if I get even like a little nick or a scrape somewhere on like my hands or something, I have like a palmistry Bible, and I go to my palmistry Bible and I look up like what's that flange, what does this mean, and then I meditate, and it's like am I too much of that aspect or too little of some other aspect or something like that? And then I try to do my best to do that. Or if I get an injury on any of my limbs, I look up what are the spiritual reasons, any kind of disease or something like that. And yeah, okay, Ashley, go ahead.
I was also thinking when you said about um, the person whose wife can remember all her dreams and she can interpret them. To me, that meant that also opens up an avenue for her to be of service, because if she doesn't have to spend all of her energy um, trying to remember her dreams, and she can just remember them, and she has that pre-incarnative choice to interpret and receive information that way, and it's easier for her, more of her energy would be in expanding that faculty through naturally service of interpreting others' dreams. So I'm just seeing here that sometimes the way we receive information pre-incarnatively set can aid us in providing a certain type of service.
So yeah, so I was going to say about the whole the pre-incarnative choices leading to what we end up like getting in our life, because that kind of ties in with what we were talking about at the beginning, right? With my eczema due to my past life, interactions, right? So, this time I've got some kind of soul, contract, meaning I'm going to have like eczema, right? So that the suffering that provides, I'm assuming, burns off the karma from my past life. That's kind of how I'm viewing it, right? But then, when you're in this life and you've got to kind of get the higher self, the guidance from the above, it all comes down to what you've got in place for you, to how you've got to learn. So I agree totally with Ashley. I mean, it comes down to what you notice in the world. Like, I agree totally with the whole kind of animal spirits things and animal signs, counting crows or all the different kind of there's nature-based ways of viewing that. I've always been so much more connected to that than ever with like angel numbers or anything, of that kind of symbology. I've much seen nature leading the way rather than kind of, I don't know, any symbology that we could make as people. But then when you get into kind of like how this manifests in what you can do, I've never really been able to dream ever. Like, I mean, nowadays I do kind of smoke things that I assume kind of downplay that, but I've never really been able to. Even when I was a kid, I never really dreamed heavily. I did, obviously, everyone does. I still do now, but I never really remember it. So there's lots of things, lots of other sources that say that if you don't remember your dreams, that probably means that you've got some pre-incarnative choice to be doing something while you're asleep. Like the Voices of Venus, they talk about going to schools to learn things during the sleep that you then come back. You don't really remember, but they come to you in these bouts of inspiration. There's loads of other kind of. Seth talks about how if you don't remember your dreams, you could be doing a job. Like he talks about how sometimes some people need guidance when they die and they need somebody to help them cross over. Rather than having some angelic presence or whatever else, sometimes it's better just to have a person. And sometimes a person that's asleep, that knows how to astral project, that knows how these things work, is the best person to help guide these people across. So when these people are asleep, not being able to remember your dreams, you're actually doing important work, service to other work in the dream place. So I always like those ideas. But to me, I think I must have some kind of pre-incarnated blockage against remembering my dreams. It's only very rarely that I do. Normally, I have to have a full conversation with my higher self before I go to sleep in order to kind of get anything out. Even just remember I was dreaming. But then, I do have quite good success with that. Meditating before I go to sleep does get me to remember my dream. Remembering, trying to remember to wake up in my dream has got me into the lucid state. And I've astral projected. In fact, I find that you remember astral projecting like far more vividly than you ever would have dreamed. It's a totally different thing. Like the memory is yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the point is that that the actual dream part for me has been very rubbish. Whereas the bit that you mentioned there about the seeking and the synchronicities, I find if I start looking into something, I start looking into a little, rabbit hole. It's like no matter where I go, no matter who I'm talking to, things related to that rabbit hole will turn up. And it's not just like, I'm noticing it because they're there. These things weren't there, and now they're there while I'm thinking or working around or meditating on certain subjects. It's like the algorithms. There was a girl, Andre, that used to come to the group, and she used to say that the algorithms were like led by angels, and that when you saw something come up on your news feed, it was put there by like angelic entities trying to kind of give you the information that you needed.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the idea that when you're seeking one resonance leads to this magnetism of other resonances, so that you find those synchronicities just occur like bosh 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 bosh, and then that the thing that you're thinking about is important. That that you're following these little pieces of information, these breadcrumbs, to get somewhere. And once again, you can't help but see the pattern there. That these things are occurring completely inconsequentially to give you like the shock of, oh my god, wow, it all fits. Oh, this is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, I fully agree with all of Quo's bits and bobs there, as well as what everyone else said. Yay, woohoo, yeah.
Yeah. So just brief the summary here. We all have guides and they're ready to assist, but they need us to request it. And so we should establish a daily practice of communing with our guides through meditation or prayer, consistent requests for assistance. And meditation and prayer is like the first one listed, apparently. We're just kind of focusing a little bit on dream work and synchronicities in our responses because I guess it's kind of different.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, the main place that I've ever had any kind of interaction whatsoever has always been meditations.
I guess because it's meditation and like prayer or intention setting, that's naturally a part of our path. So I guess we honed in on the part that we don't have as much control of, as far as like molding dreams or trying to get the most out of dreams. I think that's why I kind of honed in on it.
I also do feel like that I have had, like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but a kind of pre-incarnative kind of patterns to help me meditate as I've gone further on. Like I always having insomnia and that, and just laying in bed, not being able to turn off, just thinking. It's like I was primed in that meditative state, like all of that time, like, and other things like, once again, my eczema and that, the controlling the pain of that. Once again, I learned meditative techniques really, really young, so once again, it's like all of these pre-incarnative choices are there for reasons, so that they culminate in something far bigger than the initial, the choice. Blah, blah, blah.
All right. Well, we're pretty much we're past 9 o'clock now. So, you guys have any closing remarks?
I just wanted to say that I feel like it's a really nice takeaway when Quo says that the way to stop the wheel of karma is through forgiveness, and that this forgiveness, even if you can't talk to the person or the person isn't willing to speak with you, you can still go into meditation and curate energetically that exchange of what you would say to them and the energy you would give to them, and it'll still have an effect. And I think a lot of things hold us back sometimes energetically because we haven't forgiven someone. Even something small, some little slight that we experienced from someone we don't even know, and we took it to heart, but we didn't forgive. I think when all of those add up, that it creates little chains in our energetic network. So part of my awareness and practice is like, okay, if I have a reaction to someone or something or situation that was unpleasant, and it makes me react in a way that I don't perceive to be positive, I pause and I go back later, and if I can't do it in the moment, I'll initiate that energy of forgiveness to cut that tie, because it's not so it's not so serious that I want to negate my positive polarity to hold on to that, whatever it is. The cultivation of the love and the light is more important than holding on to little grievances here and there and developing karmic chains. So it's just a really powerful practice to look every day and see where you can forgive, and forgive as much as possible.
Hmm.
That's all.
I agree with that.
That's
I had to say
I,
as well, I've had some really crazy like success with cord cutting, like meditations. Like things that I've held around for years and years and years that are like, really done my head in. I've done like real serious kind of cord cutting thing, and it's amazing how much that changes your kind of your ability to just move on. Like even even if you've done all the shadow work and it hasn't changed anything and it still messes your head up or whatever else, that simple thing of the cord cutting meditation is, well, I was unbelievably surprised by how powerful it was. So, if anyone is carrying around anything like that, I'd highly recommend one.
I think it is so effective because that is what forgiveness is. When you're cutting cords, you're letting something go. You're finally surrendering something, you're releasing something, and that is forgiveness. So I'm just noticing that parallel there between the cutting of the cord and forgiveness. Both are a form of letting go, and that's why they work.
Well, the third thing, because I think Quo said it earlier on, the first thing is acceptance across the board.
Yeah.
Once you accept all of the issues, you accept how it's affected yourself, all these other things, then forgiveness is the easy bit. It all kind of falls into place once everything's known, everything's understood, and the damage and whatever else is put into its place, whatever it is, it's seen as catalyst or whatever else. Then what else is there? And I feel that, like, the whole Jesus thing, right? That's the whole point, right? Balance karma. Yeah, get forgiveness, compassion. Those are the best ways to balance karma. Forget about suffering and service. Don't get me wrong, they're great, but there's better ways, right?
Yep. And one point I wanted to add was that for communicating with the guides, I think meditation, at least for me, it's the go-to. Like it's because I get immediate, instant communication from my guides, and I think like the synchronicities are kind of like my kind of backup, or like if I haven't been, if perhaps I have not been listening to my guides very attentively, or I've been putting off doing something that they've been saying, then I may experience a synchronicity, like a negative synchronicity. But also, if I have been doing well on the spiritual path, then I experience positive synchronicities, and like that's just the regular day to day. Usually, it's positive synchronicity after positive, and it's just it's a beautiful life that way. But yeah, when it goes the other way, then I know, hey, something's amiss. Gotta sit down, do the spiritual work, and all that stuff. Fred, did you have any final remarks before we close? No.
well,
Okay.
I wanted to point out that how Ashley was describing how she handles when catalyst happens or whatever, and how she changes it into something positive, and then Ed was saying how he turns and changes things into positive. What that I look at how I do that for for the forgiveness aspect, and it's really actually I think if we all tell each other what we do to change negative to positive, we would probably all be able to tell each other what our or at least what a couple of our pre-incarnative choices are, because I can see where when you guys are telling me different things that you're doing, that tells me that's probably something to do with one of your pre-incarnative choices for a disposition that your personality has. Because me, myself, what I do, like when I'm at work and somebody makes me really mad, like say Dave, he's getting in one of his moods or something. For some reason, I can see right through someone's psychology, especially when I know you well. I can see right through to the core of it. And it's so easy for me to see, okay, he's having an orange ray moment. I get it. He has this going on at home. He has this going on at work. He has this going on in his life. I get it. Whatever. I forgive him. I'm not even going to be mad at him. I love the dude. He's just struggling and he doesn't know what to do. You know what I mean? And easy, easy peasy forgiveness. It's just easy because that just is my one disposition where I must have had to be able to see through to someone's psychology and understand at least enough to know, okay, I can see this through the veil in this aspect. This gives me a way to see through the veil a little bit. And I can see, okay, we're all in this together. It's cool. I see he's got problems and he's on his path, I'm on mine. I forgive you.
Yeah, that's a great point, Fred. I usually call it compassion,
Yeah.
or empathy, and
Okay.
it's
See the
wonderful
creator in all
that
things,
you have
man.
it. Yeah. hmm
Yeah.
And we may never
That's-
be certain that that's exactly what's going on, but the important thing is that it helps you forgive and love. The
Right,
intention.
right. Yeah, you're never going to be certain,
Yeah.
but it's always good to guess. It's fun to guess.
Yeah. Ashley, and then we'll close. I thought you had something. I thought you had a last word.
Oh no.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, then we leave you as we found you, in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one infinite creator. Adonai.
Adonai.
Good
Love you
night,
guys.
guys.
Dream.
Does anyone want to
Good
slow
Love you
down?
guys.
night.